Here is a fun part. I would expect to go through rigorous checks, opening luggages, showing all of the forms and the details of the amount of things we bring, their value, correspondence of this form and the luggage. So, what happened? Hi friends and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share my personal experience of immigrating to Canada and crossing the border, or more specifically, immigration and declaration process at the port of entry. While there are a lot of resources about life in Canada, I did not find much information about an actual immigration and border crossing to Canada. Since I have immigrated about a week ago, my experience is still fresh and hopefully you will find it useful. That said, please remember this is my personal experience and not an immigration advice, okay? When you arrive in or transit through Canada, you must inform Canada Border Service Agency, or CBSA in short, about the goods you obtained outside of Canada. This includes goods like gifts, prizes, awards, duty-free shop purchases, and the value of any work done on items you are bringing back. Additionally, if you are bringing more than 10k Canadian dollars per person, you must declare it. Note here that if you will declare it, and you will use it for personal use, then you do not have to pay tax on it. But if you do not declare the goods or the money you're bringing with you to Canada, and then suddenly Border Service Agency finds that you got some goods out of nowhere, you might get a huge fine and seizure of these goods. So better to always declare them, okay? Now, personal experience. How we brought the goods with us to Canada. We use two methods. First one is, of course, we brought some luggages in airplane, but most of the things we send by post, by shipping beforehand. In each of the cases, there is a specific declaration form to fill out, the so-called BSF186 and BSF186A, or in short, B4 or B4A. So, B4 form is used to list the items you are bringing with you at the time of entry to Canada, which are intended for your household and personal use, while the B4A form is used to track items arriving separate, either on the day of your arrival or later by shipment. Just a fun fact, if you are shipping your goods with a shipping company, you will need to fill up some form, which is an equivalent of B4 form for the agent who will cross the border with your goods. For them, this will be B4 form, but for you, you will need to additionally fill up B4A form as goods to follow form. After understanding all of these, the forms, requirements, why they are used, what they are used for, we separated our belongings into big sections like clothing, electronics, art supplies, etc. And it is suggested to divide your clothes in such groups because those forms, B4 and B4A forms, are quite short, and instead of printing more and more pages of filling up every entry, it is easier to just put clothing, electronics, etc. You will need to estimate amount of items such as 10 pieces of clothes, 3 pieces of electronics, etc. And also their value, the value of these goods. Now, fast forwarding to our landing in Pearson's International Airport in Toronto. After landing and leaving the airplane, we went through self-check-in kiosk where we wrote some basic information like our name, surname, etc. How much cash are we bringing with us, whether it's less or more than 10k Canadian dollars CED per person. When you receive a printout from this kiosk, you go to the first immigration office where you get your permit, either study or work permit, for example. You need to have your letter of introduction, passport or traveling document, and all of the necessary documents from either your employer or university, for example. When you receive your permit, you can proceed to section where you pick up your luggage, conveyor belts. And finally, before leaving, you have two choices. to go through the green way, where you don't have anything to declare, or to go through the red way, the goods to declare. Of course, for us, as we were bringing basically, we went to the red door. And here is a fun part. I would expect to go through rigorous checks, opening luggages, showing all of the forms and the details of the amount of things we bring, their value and correspondence of this form and the luggage, all these processes. In fact, nothing like that happened. Nothing like that at all. It was very easy, very fast, smooth, seamless. So what happened? We approached the next border officer, showed all of the forms and asked him how to declare them. It is things for our personal use. We're immigrating, here is our work permits. Officer just asked if we're bringing more or less money than 10k per person. He told that you have work permit, you can always come pick up your goods to follow, your shipment, just show them your work permit, only that, nothing more. He even didn't look at our B4, B4A forms. You know, you just go out and think, was it really that easy to declare the goods? Especially after few sleepless nights, square head from the amount of information and estimations, all this stuff. And the moral of this story is that you never know what might happen, but better to be over-prepared and have all of the documents than not having them, having trouble in the most important moment. Another thing, this is our personal experience, and in your case it might be different. Even if it is not work permit, but for example study permit, things might be different. You will never know, the mood of the person. If they have a bad day, they might ask you more detailed questions. If they have a good day, they might just wave your hand, it's fine, you can go on. I hope this experience was interesting and useful for you, especially if you are planning to immigrate to Canada and don't know how this immigration and declaration process works at the border. If you like it, give it a like and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date, and see you next time.